Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at gearwebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store on Fridays is going to include at least one free patch. So that's every order with no coupons, no minimum order, no codes needed. You place the order on Friday, and when it arrives to you, it's going to have at least one free patch. Your support means a lot to us, and financial support is critical. So thanks again to the people who keep us online through purchases at gearwebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our weekly wrap-up. Go live on Friday nights. Just noticed probably got the wrong logo up there. But we go live on Friday nights to chat about what's been going on during the week. However, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'll be too distracted. However, we didn't go live last week for a couple of reasons, so we'll probably do 2 weeks worth of show tonight. So welcome everybody who's going to join us live. We do this live. I value the interactive nature of the internet, so we do live shows when possible, so that we can have a conversation here. I'm going to go through some things that are on my screen, but again, this is live so that you can feel free to be part of the show. We're broadcasting on quite a few platforms tonight, so we got people joining us from all around. I'll bring this up on the screen here. Get me out of here. There we go. So this is my subscription page, but this is my history. So if you go to YouTube and you click on, what do you call this? Pancakes, hamburger, whatever you call this kind of menu. Click on history, and you're going to end up with the things that you watched throughout the week. And I'm going to try to zoom in on that if it works. I got some things done before the show, but not everything today. All right, so that means my comments over here got a little bit goofy. We'll see if anybody joins us to comment. Now, we have a poll going and a challenge. So if I can get my computer to behave. The poll is here somewhere. What's all this? The poll is here somewhere. Do I have to click on this? I do, in fact, have to click on it. Everybody remembers that you want to click, whenever it says top chat, you're only seeing a portion of the chat. So click the live chat and you see everything. Okay, now if we click on the poll, there we go. How was this week for 2A? We've got this poll going over on Instagram over here. That means it's over on X also. Oh, wow, look how weird my computer's being. It's going to be one of those nights. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a quick link. What they call a quick link. And drop that in my Discord for anybody that might be over on the Discord and not paying attention. And then I'm going to close Discord, because if you don't know, Discord is a massive resource hog. It's a lot of people would consider it spyware or bloatware. So I'm going to shut it down here as soon as I click a few buttons. If anybody's out there saying hey, we'll say hey to Ian and Bennett here. Paste. All right, now I can close that out. Hopefully that'll speed things up a little bit. Anyway, so how was this week for 2A? Was it a great week? Was it a good week? Was it an okay week? Or was it a bad week? And of course, feel free to comment on why you chose what you did. Looks like we only have a couple of votes going there, but they're not positive. So what's that telling us? Like I say, we'll be talking about a couple of weeks worth of stuff here. So I don't know. Let me know if you agree with those couple of first votes, or are those just pessimistic people jumping in. So for whatever reason, I guess we're seeing our own show there at the top. That's us. I was just watching Four Boxes Diner talking about terrific news from about 5 hours ago. So this is talking about the forced reset triggers. This is about Second Amendment stuff, but there are a couple of military interview shows that I listen to on the regular basis, and one of them happens, I think it just ended. It happens on Friday evenings, just before this show. Used to be live. Those were the days. It was actually pretty epic because it was the only show of its kind that was live. They probably will do some live things once in a while, but for all kinds of reasons, I guess they moved it to recorded. So now you see a premiere of a recorded show on Fridays. It's not quite the same, but I certainly don't see the need to watch it at Friday, at the moment that it comes on if it's not actually live. But they are interesting conversations. This one will be good. Special Missions Unit Intel Officer. I caught a little bit at the end, but not much, so I'll listen to it again. It's a 2-hour conversation, so it's pretty good. Then we have Guns for Everyone. I was actually listening to this one earlier this evening also. And while I don't agree with everything these guys are talking about, they have a couple of concerns. And they were talking about the Gunmakers match, which they sponsor and are part of the, it's part of their, what do they say? Like their, I forget what the word is, like accredited sports. So they're Guns for Everyone is an international organization, and one of the things they do is attempt to offer another way to have a sports, different types of sports in the shooting communities, if I'm saying it right. And the Gunmakers match is one of the sports that they help moderate or whatever, or encourage, or more than just, they want to give it a place to exist so that it's not a singular entity. Maybe that's the way to say it. Pretty good effort. Anyway, they were talking about a lot of stuff, but the Gunmakers match, 4th or 5th one, just happened. So part of the show was that. Let's see. Then we have the armed attorneys. They're just kind of talking about some cases, some theoretical, nothing big. Then we have Crump talking about the failing of the Big Beautiful Bill, or I don't know if that's actually what it's called, but the reconciliation that was being attempted. That's hopefully there's conversations going on out there for a purpose, right? Between individuals, between talking heads, between representatives, between the organizations, right? We're hoping the conversations are happening out there. Conversations about the Hearing Protection Act, the Short Act, and what's happening to it right now. Not that they're going to solve anything, but obviously those conversations need to be happening. Are we in a good place for that? Is that why people are saying okay week or bad week for 2A? Because the position we're in, what can we do as individuals? What can we do as a community? If we have some goals as a community or some potential places we could be as a community, how do we get there? How do we get the community there as individuals? There's the organizations, what's their role? You could just ignore what's happening right now, but we're seeing a similar situation to what we had in 2018, and very different reaction by the community, awareness and reaction. How would you say? Was there more awareness in 2018, or is there more awareness now of the Hearing Protection Act, or whatever they're calling it right now? But in any case, taking suppressors off of the NFA, or at least taken the cost of the suppressors off the NFA. What would you call that? A compromise? That reconciliation? What would you call that? Like, is that a viable option? Again, are these conversations taking place? Do people, if these conversations if they are not taking place, is that because people are apathetic, because people don't know, or some other reason? If they are taking place, what is the overall opinion? What's the majority opinion? Should we stick with what's happening, or should we push the plate away and say, here, I asked for something, you gave me something else, I want what I asked for? Good questions, right? I don't know. Are people listening? Are they having those conversations? And then is anybody listening to them if they are? And then we go on to the next one, which is Forge Freedom out of Indiana. And an excellent, excellent conversation. In fact, so excellent that I made a blog post out of it. So hopefully they're not going to get mad at me. But it was good info. So if I can click and talk at the same time. I went over to the Substack and we made a blog post out of this conversation with Ronald, from basically just an NRA member who's interested in this and has been paying attention and is able to have a non-exploitive conversation about the recent history of the NRA here in regards to their reform and where they're at in that reform. So I went ahead and turned it into a blog post over here to make it a little bit for people who have a different head. Then you can listen to this stuff, but then this gives it in a different visually in a different couple of different ways, a timeline and whatever. Oh, I already got a comment over there. Look at that. So I left it open to comments. I think I got a comment on it 20 minutes ago. I don't want to see Donald Trump's disgusting face in the NRA magazine. I don't want to see Donald Trump's memorabilia. I don't want to read positive op-eds about the guy. Oh, well. I guess that guy got personally offended by Donald Trump somehow, even though he's not mentioned in here anywhere. So there you go. But you know what? Some people have to tell you about their trauma. Anyway, I thought that was a great conversation. It's about an hour and a half. And we grabbed me and my robots grabbed all the information from that and turned it into that blog post over there if you want to check it out. Let's see. I actually didn't listen to this one. This was from Ironclad, so I'll have to listen to that later on. Something about What's His Face's list. Then we've got Machine Gun Nest. So the Machine Gun Nest is a what much I say, gun shop and shooting range in Maryland, and been there a couple of times, I think now, a long time ago back in the day when I was traveling, and I'm just a big fan of their whole story, so I've been following them for a long time. And this is one of the people from the shop does these updates, and she's been doing updates on the Hearing Protection Act. And since we're looking at everything in my history, and so time-wise, we're going backwards in time, these videos are all optimistic observations of what might happen, or what could happen, or what should happen, or what they think is going to happen. And then we see what actually has happened, unfortunately. And I think the most current data is that we're held up in stalemate, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I think the comments work. Maybe they don't work. Maybe I turned them all off today, and there are people voting in the poll, but there's nobody commenting. So what can you do? You can turn the comments on. You can't make people participate in the internet. Some people like to be programmed. Please tell me what to think. I only think what I'm told. Don't be one of those people. Use your fingers. You can't actively be programmed and wiggle your fingers at the same time. So if you're wiggling your fingers while you're listening to a show, you're actually absorbing the show. You're not just being programmed. Everybody who's just listening is being programmed. Just saying, it happens. So then I guess I did a video on trail cams that I watched. This is Four Boxes Diner talking about. What was he talking about? Nationwide. Well, I don't remember that one. So probably talking about birthright citizen case. Oh, I don't remember that one. Usually his videos have been getting better and better though. Let me know if you agree. There's a certain amount of hype to them, certain amount of unnecessary ones every once in a while. Certainly his thumbnails are shitty, but I think the videos in general have been toned down quite a bit from when he first kind of hit the scene. How long do you think Mark Smith will be around? Anyone who's been around for a while care to throw out some ideas? Let's see. So then we get to Ironclad, another one from Ironclad. I watched this and shared it and everything because I thought it was going to be an interview with Tulsi, but it was just these two dudes talking about Tulsi, which was sort of weird, but it was only 20 minutes. So then you get Armed Attorneys. Again, I don't think there was anything all that amazing on this one, but of all the attorneys, they're the ones I find the most interesting or the least annoying to listen to. And I probably listened to about a third of what they put out. I think I don't listen to everything they put out. Are you a Gizzard fan? Let's take a second and thank Gizzard for plugging the show each week. I do appreciate that. He plugs the store as well. I like to plug his show as well. It happens every Monday. But if you're a member of the Gizzard Connection or the Gizzard, I'm not going to say Gizzard Mafia. It's not like you have to put hits out and you have to follow orders or anything when you're Gizzard's this thing. But he does issue knives. I'm just saying. He sends out knives every week to people. Just saying. Mike White's out there prepping the dog bed. Bed for a dog. That's nice of you. Welcome, though. Hopefully you stick around for a little bit. Otherwise, have a good evening. Let's see. Put that on whatever day. It's a secret day because only members know about it. But if you're a member of the Gizzard Connection, then you can join in on these member get-togethers. And like I say, he issues out knives to his members. I'm just saying. It happens. Another video where some stuff was happening above our situation here. Then you've got another one from Machine Gun Nest talking about that. The other one was an update. This was like the prepared video that was edited and everything. So I really enjoy it when Machine Gun Nest puts out updates. They're not trying to clickbait. They're usually just trying. It's essentially like a well-produced version of a video newsletter that they're putting out to their own customers and to the people that that find them interesting. And I really appreciate it. They're not trying to just get views. They're not trying to echo chamber nothing. They usually just try to, or do a pretty good job of getting the extract of the situation. Like again, 6-minute video where I don't know if I scrolled up to one of Mark Smith's. This is probably 25 minutes. Then you got Rapid Fire Radio. Every once in a while, I get to watch those live. I usually miss the Sunday ones, and I've been missing the Tuesday ones just because I forget and I'm doing stuff. But I've been able to see some of or participate, I guess, watch, comment on some of the Wednesday shows, which are the long ones. And this week he had on his friend, one of the attorneys from Massachusetts there. But Rapid Fire Radio is a great thing to do. It's on Tuesdays. Toby hosts a segment with a radio show in Boston. And then on Wednesdays, they host their own show from the gun shop, Rapid Fire Radio. It's a 2-hour podcast, essentially. And then Toby also goes live on a radio show on Sundays for an hour in the morning for us. I think it's afternoon for them. So you've got 3 opportunities each week to participate in the Rapid Fire Radio when they're live broadcasting out to Massachusetts and the East Coast. I think both of the radio shows are syndicated quite a bit, but those are awesome. Toby does a great job of keeping up on current events, both in the gun community, like, the industry or, all the new guns that are coming out since he's a gun shop owner and an active gun shop owner, but also in the activism. Massachusetts is getting wailed on right now. And luckily they had Toby, who was kind of just getting his kind of rhythm with streaming and getting an audience and everything. And then they got wailed on with all these bad laws. and Toby had the ability, and he went ahead and helped get information out. And in addition to being a member of the organization that's helped to defend and to push back on that bad legislation, he's been able to kind of document it technically, or effectively document it all, because he's been doing the show live this whole time. He also jumps on with some of the other radio shows, and is real comfortable just hosting shows and stuff. So real pleasure watching Toby and everything. Unfortunately, all the bad stuff that's been going on, it's been we as spectators have been able to see the fight because of Toby's ability to bring the cameras along or point the cameras, right? And I should say him and his crew. Obviously, he's not just doing it by himself. He's got a crew, and he got that crew together, and they've got the ability to do this stuff. So bravo to that whole thing. Then we get Gun Owners of America posting a 9-minute video. They're like the third largest. What am I saying? They're the fifth largest of our national level organizations. Here's another 8-minute video. Then we get, I think this is the kit that Roll Call was talking about. Roll Call was somewhere, and I was chatting with him, and he was asking about that kit. So that's probably whenever I looked. Was that Tuesday? That's whenever I looked up that kit. I don't think you can even get that kit anymore. I only got that kit because it was really cheap, like inexpensive, cheap. Audio 1. Audio 1. Testing. Audio. Testing. Audio. Finding out if there's audio. And get this. Good now? Okay, thanks. Oh, DJ's putting out the link to that, so I'm going to go ahead and use that as an opportunity to throw this up there.
Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at gearwebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store on Fridays is going to include at least one free patch. So that's every order with no coupons, no minimum order, no codes needed. You place the order on Friday, and when it arrives to you, it's going to have at least one free patch. Your support means a lot to us, and financial support is critical. So thanks again to the people who keep us online through purchases at gearwebsites.com.
And now muted. So, yeah, I do appreciate the super chat. I don't know how much of that came out, but I do appreciate Mike White had posted a super chat over here that I was highlighting, and that goes towards the servers and software. As I've been learning some new stuff here lately, apps are becoming definitely part of the near future. It's just a matter of not wasting a bunch of time, so I'm trying to learn and build at the same time. Let's see. But he said something for the 2A kitty. Why do they call it a kitty? When you asked that somewhere before, I think it was on San Diego gun owners, I looked it up, and I think there's like 3 or 4 different reasons that are often attributed. So I don't think there is an answer. I think it's one of those things that's so old that there's so many old sources that no one is ever going to be able to agree on it. Even with every once in a while, you find a question like that, and they'll say, "Here's the first time it was written about," or whatever. Like nothing like that existed for this one. All right, so this is another one I didn't watch yet, but I looked at it. I'm almost positive I've seen on a different interview with Dan, though, but not with Mike, so that'll be a good one. But listening to Apache pilots is interesting. I don't know if you've listened to many interviews with military people, but you can probably imagine the the person who would fly an Apache attack helicopter is going to be different than someone who pilots the Chinook transport helicopters. And both of those types of pilots did amazing things throughout the global war on terror, flying in all kinds of adverse conditions. So, and the stuff that they've been able to do is just really, really interesting compared to the history. If you go back into the history of helicopters, and since the history of helicopters is only like 2 generations or 3 generations now of people, the whole history of attack helicopters is kind of still being created. So listening to pilots, helicopter pilots, is like, I think, is a whole nother layer of interesting. So anyway, 3.5 hour, or no, that's a 3 minute. I forget I didn't watch the whole one, but I think the whole one is pretty long. Let's see. Then we got Forge of Freedom. This is a shorter conversation. They're just kind of recapping what they did and who they interviewed. And then you get Viejo, one of the reloading folks, posting Plinkin. Every once in a while, people will post just shooting videos. People are allowed to do that still. Hey, Unapologetically Armed is out there. Welcome. If we were doing Instagram or what's that thing called? X, we'd be going like post after post of Unapologetically Armed. Thank you for all you do out there. Thanks for joining in. I've been doing the show a little bit earlier, so it's cool to see people able to jump in. And thanks for commenting. I said DJ's out there. Thanks for that. And Mike White. And guess what? Anybody else who feels like it is able to comment as well, because the internet is interactive. That's why they call it the internet, because it's interactive. Let's see. So then we get Sunday. Got the Virginia Citizens Defense League posts their their monthly meetings online. So do you have a state level gun owners rights organization? ? You can feel free to answer if you want in the comments or in your own head if you want. And then ask yourself, if you do they post monthly meetings online? Like, are they doing monthly meetings of members, and are they streaming it online? Like, are they participating with the membership? Virginia Citizens Defense League is the reason there's an Arizona Citizens Defense League. Arizona Citizens Defense League we were the second state with constitutional carry after the states that didn't have any constitutional carry. So, in a lot of ways, the Virginia Citizens Defense League is responsible for a hell of a lot of the situation we're in right now, all the positive stuff. They lead the way in so many ways. The only bad thing about the Virginia Citizens Defense League is that they have to do their annual get together for the state capitol during when the state does their bullshit, and that's during SHOT Show. So that's the only conflict that sucks, is that they can't get to SHOT Show ever, because that's when Virginia's legislature does their bullshit. So otherwise, Virginia Citizens Defense League is the ultimate state level gun owners' rights organization. They lead the way. So Gold probably right behind them somewhere. You got San Diego gun owners, not quite state level, but doing a lot of good stuff. And then you got a lot of other good ones, but I'm talking like exceptional, doing stuff beyond the ordinary, leading the way that other organizations could step up and emulate. There you go. That happens. I think it's like the third Sunday or something. Here's a pug on a dirt bike video. Why don't we just go ahead and play that video? This is a true story of what happened one day with my co-host. We'll just play a portion of it. We won't do the whole 2 minutes.
Pug on a dirt bike, riding fast and wild. Nunchucks spinning out duggered in every mile. Metal robots crashing down with every hit. He's got the moves, can't nobody beat this wit. Tiny paws gripping tight at the throttle's edge, flying high over hills like he's got a pledge. Sparks fly right as the robots hit the ground. Tenacious rider making that fearless sound. Tenacious rider tearing up the road.
You can listen to that for free on the YouTubes. That was made by robots. Images and, believe it or not, the images and the music were made by robots. All right, so that's what robots can do. If you want to go watch a movie that's very good CGI, I guess, like very good graphics, computer graphics, then Kung Fury 2 is coming out. I don't remember how long Kung Fury was. Was it like 20 minutes or something? It wasn't a very long movie, but I really enjoyed it. It's basically this kid from 1980s has some kind of skateboard keyboard or something, and then I forget what happens, but he does some kind of time travel, and he either fights a robot he fights a dinosaur, or he fights with a dinosaur. I forget. But it was pretty good graphics, or like, I don't know what to call it. Pretty good, just a mess of a video or a movie. And I guess they're making a second version of it, so I don't know when that'll happen, but Matt was talking about it on his show. I'm trying to figure out if this thing is working or not. Like, we're not getting any comments over here, but oh, I see what happened is I'm not scrolling right. Let's see. DJ says, I really don't like the lead singer of that AI band, and I hear him everywhere now. Oh, really? I didn't really notice that they're the same like voice or whatever. Let me see if I can. Oh yeah. So let me see. All right, because this one should be different. Is this going to play? I don't know if this is a song or if I'm looking at something else. Where is it showing up? Is it? Oh, is it trying to open? Oh, there it goes. Oh, crap. It's trying to open in Adobe Audition. That's why I should have opened it in something like Music Player or something. Open with, let me try it with not opening it in a massive software. I'm going to play it in Media Player. And now I'll have to shut down Audition whenever it shows up. But this is a little bit different one.
Out on the streets, a hero so small, with paws of steel, he'll stand tall. They can hit the plug on duty tonight. Robots beware, he's ready to.
Okay, and then here's a third one. You can vote on 1, 2, or 3. I like this one.
Plug name bacon bits, sunbathing in the yard. Chilling in the sunlight, living life ain't hard. Out of nowhere came a flash from the sky. Metallic visitor caught the pug's eye. Robot landed down from the faraway stars, glistening and gleaming like.
No, number 2? Okay. Anyway, I got dozens of them. But robots are pretty good. All right, well, until the robots finally take over and make it all easier for everybody, let's still deal with all these humans. So all these meat bags are doing stuff, and we're going to get to the meat bags in California. They do their show on Sundays. It's fake now. Now they pre-record it, and we listen to some highly edited version. So probably a bunch of propaganda flipped in there. Whenever something's not live and streaming, you have to assume that they have sliced it up and put in those subliminal messaging in there. Probably who knows what, because it's subliminal. We don't even know. There's no laws. So I'm assuming if it isn't live, it's fake. But they still do a show, and a bunch of people show up. Maybe 20-something people show up. How many, Mike White, you think 20-something people show up? Still worth listening to in real time if you're available, because there's really nothing else going on Sundays anyway. But earlier in the day on Sunday, that's when you get Toby. And like I mentioned, it's only an hour, but it's usually right in the middle when I'm doing something else. Every once in a while, I get to check it out. Blue to Green is a podcast from here in Arizona. This guy was a cop, and now he does a podcast where he tries to show the crossover, I guess, between marijuana community and the police community. So he had Sheriff Lamb on, and this is one of the shorts from that conversation. Then you got Reverend Ken Blanchard, who's been going through all kinds of different transitions and changes with his channels, and he posted a bit of a backstory, kind of an update, kind of where he came from for the people that are watching his channel now. He's definitely more of a music kind of a channel these days. Then you got the overnight. So there's a bunch of lame stuff that happens, and then on the weekends all the good stuff happens, and the best stuff happens overnight on Saturday nights on DM Foss's show. So if you've ever been to like the actual raw internet, that's what you'd experience if you showed up for the overnight. There's no way to explain it other than if you know, you know, and other people just have to dream and hope that one day they'll be able to check it out. Or you could check it out by just showing up overnight on Sundays or Saturdays, I guess. Next, got a bug here bothering me. We've got Foss, speaking of Foss, doing some kind of shooting. Lim Priston. He was trying to shoot a bunch of 9mm Lim Priston him. He also was posting about these little short shotgun shells he's been putting together. And they've been talking about buybacks over on San Diego gun owners. I usually don't watch shorts, but those are 3 shorts that happened to come up, and they were watchable. We got that mouse party again to talk about. But here's the thing. Normally right around here is I quit talking about stuff because that's a week ago. But I haven't done this show for 2 weeks, so we'll keep going. Let's see. Has he fixed his server host issues for guests yet? Wait, are you talking about Foss? Foss is just still using that same software he was using. I don't know why it doesn't work for your shit, though, because obviously that worked for us that time. Yep. So anyway, so that's the mouse party. It's the best thing that happens. Oh, shit, I shouldn't have clicked on that. It's the best thing that happens on an overnight on Saturday nights. Right before it, ish, is Hillbilly, and then right before that, if this goes back, will it? No. It's going to stop at the top. Start at the top. So now we can scroll all the way back down again. We'll blame the co-host for this. He's over there sleeping. But if he wasn't sleeping, we wouldn't have to be dealing with this. If he was playing his role as a good co-host, he would have stopped me from clicking on that. All right. So before Hillbilly is Great Start Shooting School. Does Mental Health Matters. So each Saturday, consistently, Brooke from Great Start Shooting School posts about 20 minutes to a half an hour usually, almost always live, a focus on having conversations about mental health, normalizing the conversations about suicide prevention, being able to have conversations with ourselves, like with other gun owners, about how crucial these important issues are and ways that we can normalize the conversations about them so that our stigmas and our traditional or our whatever you want to call it, like our societal glitches, we can intentionally move past that and actually talk about some of this uncomfortable stuff. And then when we have conversations about the other side who fucking intentionally or not exploit the deaths, the suicide rate, whenever they're talking about gun issues. So again, when they go after our rights or us as gun owners, we're having ineffective communication, and the way to solve that isn't to just yell our positions louder or to have more conversations with each other about how right we are. Instead, normalizing the conversations about mental health so that we're comfortable to having these conversations about these topics so that the other side understands they're being duped, they're being used and manipulated. That situation is being exploited so that people can make money going after our rights and our property. And when that's over, we can move past this. Think about how many things we can move past as a bunch of people, as a bunch of society, as a culture. Once we've mastered the ability to get past this manipulation, and there's only one person who's doing anything about this, and it's not the $1 million organizations that are out there taking credit for fucking $35 lawsuits and whatever. There's one person who's actually putting an effort towards doing this, and that's Brooke. You can be part of the show by showing up on Saturday afternoons, or you can share the show. Either way, you're helping to promote actual useful effort towards this goal. Then you got 4 Boxes Diner, who puts up, basically clickbaity thumbnails that are formulaic and, basically play off of topics and trends. But like I say, he's been doing better. And he's probably better than, I don't know, not everybody else. But if you know somebody who's better at this, let me know. But I'm not going to say he's concise with a 20-minute video, but I think his videos are pretty decent. But again, look at the contrast between Brooke and this guy. What kind of views we got here? 36 views, 47,000 fucking views. What would happen if this guy talked about suicide awareness and mental health matters conversations on a weekly basis? Would 47,000 people watch? Fuck no. Would 7,000? Maybe. Would a couple of doctors get some of this into their fucking heads? Yeah, probably. Are they? Are we getting some headway with Walk Talk America? Sure. Do we need one organization working for this? Fuck no. This is the number one issue. How come we don't have every one of the national level organizations focused on mental health? We can change the national conversation about mental health because we're being persecuted for our hearing protection. We're being persecuted for our therapy, our range therapy, right? That's unheard of for people that hate guns. We understand it as a thing. That's something that we can change, not by yelling at them, but by explaining it to them. And these people that can consider themselves compassionate can finally understand what compassion would be, which would be leave us a fucking alone already, and to challenge the people who've been exploiting them. You think who gets the most pissed? The people who've been exploited, the people who've been ripped off, people who've been conned. So open their eyes to the con. Don't get mad at them for being conned. The fuck, we're doing this wrong. Anyway, there's a contrast right there. Guy who's making a shit ton of views, yelling to an echo chamber about shit, and then Brooke, who's basically ignored and shunned. I mean, literally, we get fucking shunned. I can't even link to her show. I get channel strikes by linking to her show. She has nothing violent, nothing, anything, and they say that I'm linking to a fucking hate group. Idiots. Anyway, we'll move on. Then you get to Shep. Some of you I've been following since probably before y'all were on the internet. He's one of the old guys that just shoots his guns, kind of like Viejo out over there. Come on, where'd my internet go? This is the internet I got to deal with. Maybe one day I'll be able to afford good internet. Anyway, Shep is he's just a shooter, so he's just an old guy, shoots his guns, talks about them. Then you got Light Over Heat. He hates Trump. Oh my goodness, he does not like Trump. So this was Trump's message to the NRA. But who do you got? Anybody else posting this from NRA? No. Anybody else was in that room at NRA? No. I mean, we know Pincus was in there. We know Amanda Sefcoe was in there. We know John Richardson was in there. Probably know a couple other names we could drop that were in the room. Did any of them have a fucking camera? No. So Professor Yamane, the only person who's actually bringing the transparency that everybody expects. Luckily, John Richardson brought a point to the committee, and now everything going forward will be streamed from the NRA. But yeah, thanks again to Professor Yamane for being the only one there to bring that kind of insight and our eyeballs into that room. We're going back to last week, so this one's from a little while ago, but definitely worth a watch. If you really want to know gun nerds, nothing you've seen online is a real gun nerd. Rob is a real gun nerd, and he's been there and done that. So instead of being like somebody who's, I don't know, got a millionaire dad and just, sat around doing some research with millions of dollars and then writes fucking books and makes millions of dollars. This dude was enlisted and he was running around the world doing stuff. And then back in the olden days, before I was even paying attention to this stuff, he was taking really good pictures. He has unprecedented access internationally around the whole entire world. He's been to museums and back rooms and had access and had guns taken out of display cases so that he could photograph them. And his photograph collection is unmatched by anything on the planet. So when he gets into nerding out on this particular Colt, basically the precursors to the M4, so the X M4 when it was still a prototype, and the Colt 727, which predated that one, it gets nerdy. So you got 40 minutes of hanging out with Rob. And if you want to know what it was like back in the early 2000s when we were in the AK clubs, that's what it would have been like. Watching this is what it was like, except AKs. You can get real nerdy when the internet first happened. But anyway, so Rob does a great job of presenting all this. And like I say, if you're interested at all in what it's like to be a gun nerd, here's a real introduction to a gun nerd. Speaking of a gun nerd, here's Bob and his 26 second long video. So proving Canadians can't co-host really good. Bob is the original co-host of this show. So if you ever see anything with us in it, it's Bob always. So I don't know what he did wrong. Oh, I think he can't stream live. So he went live for like 26 minutes, but his stupid StreamYard or whatever wouldn't let him connect. Or maybe YouTube wouldn't let him connect. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it turned into a video or not. I don't think it did. I think the live one went dead, and then this is what rendered. And I went to go watch it, and it was 26 seconds long. So we still have yet to figure out what Bob was trying to tell us, but it's probably something good. Looks like Mike checked out. I hear you. I'm yawning a bunch myself over here, and I've been drinking an energy drink this whole time. What I do is I start drinking an energy drink, and I mix it about 1/3 to 2/3 with 2/3 of like just so fizzy water, so that I'm watering down the energy drink quite a bit. So I'm like halfway through a can of energy drink about after drinking it all day long. Then we get into an interesting one. Is this Crump? Yeah, Crump did a breakdown for like 30 minutes. He went through something, and then he started talking about this lawsuit where Marion Hammer is suing the NRA. So Marion Hammer is a whole nother character that people don't. If you don't know her story, then you don't even have a half of what's going on in the NRA. So Wayne LaPierre is like 20% of the story at the NRA. Marion Hammer's another 10% maybe. So she's the first female president. And if you ever heard of Eddie Eagle, she's the one that came up with Eddie Eagle. So think about how significant Eddie Eagle has been in our culture as far as the gun plight. I don't want to say fight because it wasn't really a fight back in the day. It was more of a plight. So she was definitely a key player for a number of years. And then when the whole Wayne LaPierre shit started happening, she you definitely would say she's on Team Wayne. So now, as Team Wayne has like 3 people left on the board or something, like there's very few people that are impartial, let alone have anything to do with Wayne anymore. Those have all been removed, either forcefully or by votes out of the NRA. She's decided to sue the NRA because of a bunch of weird stuff. So she's a character. Allegedly, in her documentation to the court, she suggests that the Brady campaign, so Bloomberg, was willing to offered to pay her $5 million to walk away from the gun industry, from the Second Amendment fight, she says. So talk about a weird soap opera. Like I say, Wayne is a chunk. He's like JR or something if this was Dallas, but there's a lot of other players in this weird ass soap opera, and she's one. She was kind of a turncoat as well. She started out strong and then flipped it and ended up now where she's suing the NRA for, I don't forget how many millions or something. So Gunswater says mental health is the modern leprosy. I don't know. Do you think so? I don't really think so. I mean, I think for a while it may have been because it was misunderstood or stigmatized for sure. Probably a little both or maybe more than that. But in the last dozen years and then few years for sure, I think that there's an awareness and an understanding of mental health and a lot less of the stigmatism. Now, I could be wrong because I'm paying attention to it and I'm understanding it more, and I do, pay attention to it, or I wouldn't have a few years ago. So it's hard for me, I guess, to get a great focus on it or perspective on it, but I don't think of it as leprosy as maybe like something misunderstood. I don't even know. Like, what's something that's misunderstood that a lot of people have? Like high blood pressure or something? Like, I think it's something that's pretty common. And it's not necessarily life-threatening, but anyway, I don't think it's as bad. Because leprosy kind of means, like, like we understand what it is, but it doesn't affect us because it's way over there. It's not that many. And I think it's more common than that. But I hear what you're saying. That people don't want to talk about it, right? Anyway, feel free to comment. We're wrapping it up at some point here because we're only going back 2 weeks. We're not going back a month or anything. And I've only got this broadcast into the subscribers on Instagram because we were getting a lot of weirdos watching the show and not saying anything. And it's weird to me. I'd rather have people who I know watch the show because they want to, they know who we are, or people can feel comfortable chatting and not have a bunch of weirdos from like who knows where watching the show. So, I mean, we already got enough weirdos watching it from YouTube, right? And then who knows who's watching on X. There's a bunch of people watching on X tonight, but they never comment. It's funny. We're not allowed to joke about that or something, though. So let's see. Then you got armed attorneys talking about protesters. I don't know if they're coming back or if that's hype. I don't know. Was that bait? Clickbait? Or was that for real? Because they only brought up, they're like, look who's coming back, and here's one example. And I'm like, well, I need at least 5 points that are rapidly increasing in, either speed or like in something size, to be something that's you have to be worried about. One instance doesn't signify should we be concerned. Let's see. Then you have Gun Club Radio talking about their giveaway. Come on, what happened? And then you have Crump saying that Colin Noir was wrong about the Hearing Protection Act. Now, this was 2 weeks ago. So there was a lot of speculation on what was going to happen, I think, and who was involved in what. Definitely saw a lot of videos go up exploiting the whole thing. How many of them were giving you brief, precise, and useful ideas on how to contact a representative. There's a big difference between like, hey, this is happening right now. Here's what I've said, or here's what I suggest you say, or here's what so-and-so says to say, and here's the number to call. Like, are you calling? Like, here's me calling live. Like, here's something, like a infographic that we came up with to get people to be aware of this. So let's share it around. Like, there's so many things that we can do as individuals or that organizations couldn't coordinate. How much of that is happening versus how many people are coming up with a fucking clickbaity thumbnail, clickbaity ass title, and some kind of let's preach to the choir or sing to the echo chamber. Anyway, I'm singing to the echo chamber right now. So OG Pumpkin pulling one of these. I'm closing my store. He's basically just moving his store over. Did I talk about Silencer Central? No, because I barely understand the thing, and I don't know if anyone actually has data or if this is all speculation thing. All I understand is that some people put out some exploitive titles on their videos, but I didn't watch the videos. But that's what I understand, or why I understand why you're asking about Silencer Central. But as far as like what they did or the specifics or where the data comes from about those titles of those videos, like, I don't know. But I specifically didn't know because I kind of think that's a distraction from why aren't we calling representatives? Why aren't we using this as an opportunity to learn how to communicate with each other so that we become a fucking bunch of people pulling on the rope at the same time rather than a exploitable group of people who can never come together, right? So I don't see at the immediacy of the time we have to do something about this with representatives who are at our at our beck and call, why we're not coming up with an actual call to action is beyond me. I can't do that. I don't have, there's like dozens of people watching this, hundreds of people will watch this in the next week or two. That's not enough to change shit. So I can bitch and moan, but it's the shake. I'm just shaking my fist at the clouds. It's the clouds that refuse to work together and spell out the answers to everything that we need. Let's see. Then Gun Club Radio. I like that he does his show in the evenings. You can see I get to watch a bunch of his shows because I'm up working and he's on. Like, too many people do their shows for us on the west coast, on the good coast. That isn't weird. It's only it's 8 o'clock right now, so a lot of people are already in bed on the other coast, and they do their shows for us at like 5 in the afternoon or 6 in the afternoon when we're decent working people are working, right? So when we have things to do. So Gun Club Radio does his show at like 9 o'clock our time, so probably midnight back east. I can get behind that. I dig that. This was, I guess I can close out of this one, but I ordered a software radio, which is kind of neat. It's just this little dingleberry that you buy for $40, $50. You plug it into your computer, you put some software that's free on your computer, and you have a really nice ham radio scanner, radio frequency type of diagnostic tool thing. It's really cool. Oh, this is pretty awesome. I forget what we were doing to watch this or who was talking about this. Probably was it Pat in the Bunker? Somebody was talking about this on somebody's show. And if you haven't seen it, it's pretty good. So this guy has a camera out in front of his garden, and this little groundhog or whatever keeps coming up and eating stuff right in front of his camera all the time like a jerk. I think it's fake, because look how clean that carrot is. That carrot didn't come out of the ground. Like the broccoli, you can't really tell. That thing, you can't really tell. But that could just be a shitty tomato that nobody wanted. And they threw it out for the... Is this thing a groundhog or a gopher? But that carrot don't look like it came out of the ground, and there's no stem on it. I think they're just feeding that thing, but it's still hilarious that he sits there eating right in front of that camera. It didn't come out good, but the first time you watch that, you're rolling. It's pretty funny. Especially when you read the caption. It's like, I've been trying to figure out who's been eating all my vegetables, and I put out this camera, and now I know who's eating all my vegetables. Speaking of eating all your vegetables, Gizzard makes you eat your vegetables. Otherwise, you don't get to hang out on his live shows on Monday. You can watch those Monday evenings. Another show that comes out on Mondays is Bullets, Bandages. Oh, wait, no. Locked, Cocked, and Unfiltered. Tony's training show. He does with a couple of trainers. They usually have some guest on. This was pretty good. I listened to a good chunk of this one. I think I might have missed the end, but Mike had on this guy who's ended up being a vice admiral. So I don't know how the Navy ranks go, but I'm guessing that's some sort of general. Is an admiral like a general? I don't know. Maybe it's like a colonel or something. The Navy has different ranks for some reason. I didn't ever have to learn them. But this guy was the commanding officer of his bud's class or something like that. So they kind of briefly knew each other. So it's a pretty good conversation. And this guy definitely did some interesting shit throughout his career. I can't remember where we're at with the things, but I did do this. I just took a bunch of my radios that don't need any kind of license. They're kind of like walkie-talkies, two-ways, but mostly using the FRS frequencies, which don't require any kind of licensing. And the walkie-talkies are really just the same radios as the higher quality FRS. It's just that the FRSs that are higher quality have bigger batteries and bigger antennas, so they can talk a little bit further. But they're literally the same as your inexpensive walkie-talkies or your toys that you would even get a kid. They all use that same set of frequencies. So kind of went through and showed the interoperability of them and some of the features on some of them. And some of the nicer ones are nicer, but again, they're the same radio as far as like the way that they operate and the frequencies that they operate on. Same features and stuff. It's just that, or maybe not same features, because some of the radios are just nicer. They're waterproof. They have built-in lights, places for lanyards, like flexible antennas or rigid antennas. Like some of those are the differences between them. I also posted this video with the clickbaity title, how I was able to have this legally shipped to my house. with no license because it's a BB gun. I didn't get too many weird comments, but I did get 1,000 views on it. So it's good to know that if you want to, you can get views. You just got to be fake about it. Then we have this guy talking about the United States and Mexico and Operation Fast and Furious. So it's pretty interesting. This guy worked with ATF. He was a deputy assistant director during Operation Fast and Furious, or I guess right before. So pretty decent conversation about guns going into Mexico. And I would say about 90% good. There's like 10% anti-gun shit in there. What are you going to do? Let's see. Gunswatter is saying, apparently we are burning up the DC switchboard over the big, beautiful bill and the silencers and the SBR, SBS stuff. I definitely hope that's the case. And I'm not saying you're not right, because I do not know. I am not paying attention by any means. So I hope that you're right. I appreciate that. Unapologetically Armed said, I just wrapped up 5 months straight of talking to the state representatives and senators. We definitely need more gun owners to get engaged and active at both state and federal level. I don't even know what to say. I mean, yep, for sure. I mean, you are obviously motivated, but I can't imagine how much more, I don't know what the word is, like how, I don't want to say easier, but at least how much different it would be if you could depend on a few people there with you each time, and what that would mean to the representatives who see you there if you were there with a crew. So I agree, and there's really no reason to not do it. I mean, I'm talking to the person here, but again, Unapologetically Armed is not the only, but unlike a lot of people who are active politically or active with their state level situation, bills, or either defending bad bills or pushing good bills, right? Or bringing things onto the agenda that are often overlooked, like Unapologetically Armed focuses on in this case, in Missouri, the prohibition on the right to carry in public transportation, and the misunderstandings with the politicians or the representatives. It's got to be frustrating as hell. But in any case, there's a lot of people that are fighting the fight, doing the good work, but not all of them are bringing a camera along or documenting it. Unapologetically Armed does an awesome job in both regards. So again, like, that could be championed by many, many of the entities that we've got right now. And if and when that happens, what does that look like? When instead of paying attention to talking heads or blowhards or do nothings, we're paying attention to the people that are getting the work done, giving them the support, either, well, whatever the support, whatever the thing is that they happen to need. And, where would we be? So we'll get there. I don't think we're moving in a direction away from that by any means. But more would be so good. I was only woman in support of 2A, and most pro bills had just 2 or 3 in support. Pitiful. Well, I hear you, and I don't want to, I don't know. I don't want to be like, oh, well, it is what it is, because unfortunately then we get nothing, right? But so I do want to be mad about it, but I don't want to rage, because who are we raging to here? It is frustrating, though, and I can only imagine. It's frustrating for me as somebody who's not doing shit. For somebody who's got skin in the game and putting time in the clock, and, like, again, being the representative for so many people that are unaware. So let's be nice about it. Yeah, I can't even imagine. I can only imagine. All right, so we're getting towards the end, though. So this was about 90% good and about 10% anti-gun. The last time they touched guns going across the border, it was more like 70% anti-gun, and I really got pissed. This one, I only kind of went a few times. Like, I tisked. I can't do that, so I need something to drink. I went like that a few times watching this, but it was pretty good. if I remember right. This was already 2 weeks ago. I often watch dead shows on here, so that happened, I guess. Then what do we got? State of the Second. I don't know what that is. Oh, is that the GOA thing? Did I watch this? I don't think I watched this. I need to watch this one. So this is one of the GOA entities, I guess. 9 minutes. Edited or produced. I don't think that's live. But I'll have to watch that one. There's Toby taking over the Howie Carr show, one of the radio shows that, like I mentioned, he'll take over once in a while. There's Clover doing a trading card show that he does. There's Unloaded Media. They do a show on Sundays, usually right after Gun Owners Radio. Looks like we had Bullets for Bucks out there doing a live show. So this had to be a while ago. Ron Wayne posting his 270 Winchester. I like Ron's shooting videos. They've got a cool style to them. There's I don't know. There's probably a lot of people that are filming shooting videos, and I just don't watch them anymore. But one of the reasons I like to watch people's shooting videos rather than some bullshit magazine or some paid shill, because I don't want to get some kind of lame magazine. Everything's lighted perfectly, and they spent more money on the production of that photograph than I'm going to be able to spend on the gun. I don't care about all that. I like watching regular people shoot. And if they put some effort into the creativity of it, or like the presentation of how they shoot, like Ron's doing, I think that's pretty cool. And it's just neat to see all different ways people do that. That's what YouTube is all about, after all. Then you got Rolo, Puerto Rican Pistolero. I felt obligated to watch that for a little bit, but it's getting very video gamey. Hopefully he'll get back into the gun stuff again at some point. Patent a Tractor, another mental health matters. This, I think, was the one I missed because they just got back from Japan and I didn't see the show schedule, and I think I missed that one live. Let's see. Their civil rights department in the Trump administration. Sounds like Mark Smith thinks there's going to be a lot of potential, a lot of positive movement from that realm. And when you listen to her answer to a question, it makes sense. But I found out that wasn't in like a challenging question. That was a softball thrown at her. So she was ready for that. She had asked to be asked that, she asked them to ask that question so that she could say her little prepared thing. So I do like what she said and how she said it, but since I know she was saying it to us, I want to see some action. I want to see what the results are, and then I'll be super happy. Tony and I do a show on Saturdays, so you can listen to that anytime you want. You can go to askgunquestions.com and leave a question there. I don't ask for your email or anything like that. I'm not harvesting anything. I don't try to sell you nothing. We just answer the questions on Saturdays. And one day I'll put them back up on the website, but that's kind of a pain in the ass. So maybe in a long future day from now, we'll do that again. But Ask Gun Questions is just a website I bought a long time ago. And over the years, I've just done different things with that project. And I don't know, for the last 100 and something episodes, I guess, we've been going live on Saturdays to answer the questions that come in. So if you want to listen to two old guys tell you what's up, join us on Saturdays. Right before Great Start Shooting School does the Mental Health Matters show. Actually, it's like 4 hours before, but whatever. All right, well, I think I'm going to quit now. I do have a couple of other things that I was going to bring up, but while I figure out what those are, I got to bring something else on the screen so that I can get something to drink. I'm dying. So why don't we bring up this commercial, I guess?
Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at PureWebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store on Fridays is going to include at least one free patch. So that's every order with no coupons, no minimum order, no codes needed. You place the order on Friday, and when it arrives to you, it's going to have at least one free patch. Your support means a lot to us, and financial support is critical. So thanks again to the people who keep us online through purchases at gearwebsites.com.
Surrender to his daring code. Young sharks flying robots meet their end. In a world of chaos, he's the coolest friend.
Yeah, this wasn't my favorite one either. It's kind of like a weird Van Halen or something. But I figured I'd go with a rock ballad for the first one. There was a couple other ones that were like, I tried to get it to do a 70s action TV show intro, but it really didn't come up with a very good one. Anyhow, so that is the show for this evening as far as the all right, there. As far as the stuff I've been watching over on the YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and end the Instagram because I think that also might be making it lag, and nobody ever says anything on Instagram, so what's the point of going there? Going live, I should say. We do have, I closed the thing. We do have the poll going here, but I've already closed the, maybe not. Maybe I can put it back. No, I have closed it, so remove that from the screen. Anyway, we have a bunch of votes, and if I get to where I can see them, that's weird. There's a very slight difference in the grays that they use, so if you look at it on the wrong screen, you can't even see what the votes are. Anyway, how was this week for 2A? Of the people that voted between great, good, okay, and bad, okay comes out overwhelming 45% of the votes. Every other option had 18%. So a very weird, very, very weird distribution this week. And if you tilt your head to the right, if you were to look at the screen and put your right ear on your right shoulder, and you look at the screen, it looks as though the poll is flipping you off. I'm just saying. And that's rude. So I'm going to end the poll right now, and so that a child doesn't accidentally look at the screen that way. All right. I think with that, we can start wrapping it up. So we have a couple other things I'd like to work on. Thanks to Mike White for the $5. That'll help a bit towards making that decision. I was listening to the conversation that Forge of Freedom had on or about the NRA with that guy who's paying attention. And after listening to that, I started to think about, because they started to bring up some specifics about how many organizations, like sub-organizations, the NRA has or had, and how that's dwindled, I guess you could say. And then some other conversations about how much they make and things like that. And I don't want to take any of that for granted. So every year or so, well, every year if I can, I like to do the research. There's a couple of sources out there that will tell you how much nonprofit organizations make, because it's public info. It has to be published. So I usually just go out and spend a couple hours compiling all that data and then putting it into some graphs so that I like to look at things visually so I can compare visually how much money these organizations are bringing in. A lot of people think the organizations are more equally distributed than they are, when in reality we have the NRA, which brings in a lot of money still. Then you have the organization no one ever talks about in Colorado, which brings in shit tons more than the Gun Owners of America and Second Amendment Foundation put together when they feel like it. When that organization feels like it, it brings in more money than both those organizations together. Then you have NSSF, and then you have Second Amendment Foundation and Gun Owners of America, and then you have some other organizations out there. And so it's not too hard to take the information and put it together so that people can see just how much these organizations are making. And then when you take all the other organizations that weren't mentioned there and put them together, they don't even make a blip on the radar because they're all making way less than $1 million a year when these organizations are making 5 million plus each. So they don't scale together. Anyway, so when we talk about these organizations and then we talk about the other entities in the industry, one of them, for example, makes $24 million a month. They brag about it. They don't do shit with that money, except compete with the NRA, which is kind of a weird thing to do when, what is 24 million times 12 come out to anyway? Did I do that math? I don't even remember. 24 million times 12. So they make more than the NRA now. So there's an organization that makes more money than the NRA, and all they do is compete with the NRA on training. So they go to the one thing that the NRA, or one of the things the NRA does, and poke at that, and they leave all the other shit the NRA does hanging, and put all the weight of the entire budget of the NRA towards pushing at their training. So, we've got some entities out there that nobody questions, nobody probably puts much effort into contemplating how large these organizations are. So we have two organizations that are essentially under the radar that are, one of them's as large as the NRA financially. All right, well, with that, that's something I'm going to try to do. But let me know in the comments of the video if you're interested in seeing the process of that or not. Otherwise, I can just do it and present it whenever I get it all figured out. And with that, I'll shut down the rest of it. Have a good night.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!